Welcome back to the channel. Today we are actually getting started with the van build, and what we're going to do is install the sound deadening. Now I got sound deadening panels from the brand Kilmat. It's a very popular brand in the car audio scene, or they just cover the cars and this stuff. So we got 3 boxes of Kilmat, 2 that are 100 mil and 1 that is 80 mil. Now we're going to use the 2 boxes of 100 mil along the floor in these ridges and also on the inner wheel well of the van. So those are the priority places for those. The idea was to put the heavier, thicker stuff down low, and especially where the most of the noise comes from. We get a lot of road noise, pebbles picking up from the tires onto the wheel well, any exhaust noise. And then on the wall panels, we'll probably put additional paneling where they already have some from the factory, and then also in some areas where they don't have any, we will use the 80 mil right here. Now to install this stuff, you get yourself some isopropyl alcohol, put it in a spray bottle to make it easier to put on, and then you clean the surface, you cut the Kilmat to whatever shape you need, and then you roll it along with this roller here. Put just enough pressure to have a firm pressure, but not a lot to actually cause any denting, especially on these outer panels, which are really thin sheet metal. You can possibly see it on the outside. So that is what we will be doing today. Ari's already gotten started on some of the upper panels. We have our support dogs down there. Door is nice and open, have a nice breeze in here, and let's get to it. So first what I'm going to do is spray the fender, and then I'm going to put these on. Start with the big squares on these flatter surfaces, and then I'll probably have to cut and trim around these curves. So let's clean it up. I'll wipe it down as well just to get any dirt off. Once you get the nice clean surface, you can start putting on the Kilmat. First, what you do is peel back a portion of the paper backing and position that part where you want it to be, and then start peeling the paper back. For this one, I rolled as I went, but really you don't need to do that. Just get the whole piece of Kilmat onto the body panel and then roll it at the end. After that first one, just get the next piece and cut it to size for where you need to put it, and repeat the same process. These 2 were relatively easy because they were on fairly flat surfaces. At least the curve was only in one direction. For the rest of the wheel well, it gets a little bit more complicated, so you have to do a lot more intricate cuts. But it's not too bad. You can just kind of figure it out and do little bits here and there and make different triangles, and it'll all work out in the end. And if you do overlap in any areas, that's fine. It'll just provide a little bit more sound deadening. Alright, first fender is done. It's looking pretty good. Basically just a giant puzzle piece that you kind of have to make your own pieces for and fit them into the corners and just go as you go. If there's a little overlap, that's fine. On to the next one. Quick update on the puppies. They are being as cute as possible. Yes, you too.
Taking a nap.
Being little angels, as always. Alright, so status update. I've done both fenders. I've batched out a lot of strips to go in the wall. Just get a nice box cutter, cut it on some cardboard so you don't mess up your paint, and just batch them out. Get a lot done really fast. Ari is doing the sides here, and she has done a good job filling in gaps where the roof didn't have anything. Alright, so it's the next day and I'm almost done with putting down all the Kilmat. I only have a few more places along the top body panels here above the windows. I just want to share a couple pointers I picked up along the way. One is, if you're around these thin pieces of sheet metal, these things can cut you. So make sure you wear some decent gloves that will at least provide some protection. It doesn't have to be super thick, just enough to not get yourself cut on one of these sharp edges. The other tip is when you go to put it down, and you have to slide these into tight areas. So you want to peel the back off just a little bit to feed it through. So you want to kind of feed it through that way, and then with your other, it's hard to do while holding the camera. Slightly weird angle, but hopefully this will help. So when you are installing these, don't take off the whole paper back because it'll get stuck to everything. It'll get stuck to your gloves. It'll just be a lot harder to install. So what you want to do is just peel it back enough so you can reach it, especially in these tight areas, with your other hand. And you can easily feed this through just like this. And once you get into position, push down with the one side and then peel off the back just like that. And then, pat it down. And then after that, you'll hit it with a roller. Depending on where it is, it's flat. You can just go from one side to the next. It'll probably work out. If it's more complex, you probably want to go from the inside out. For some of these, it doesn't really matter, truth be told. So when I was making all the pieces for this little piece right here, there's about 10 of them around the van. I cut them all the same, but on a couple of these pieces there's an extra brace back here which prevents you from going all the way down with this piece. Now I could overlap here, which would be fine, it wouldn't hurt anything, but I think what I'm going to do is actually sort of just get it basically how I want it to be, and then I take just a scissors and just create, I don't cut it, I just create a little mark there. And then after that, I can just cut this to size and put it in there, and I don't have to measure anything. I have my mark here. Just get some scissors and just basically cut across like that. No measuring, easy peasy. And then start with taking the backing off. And just feed it in. Just like that, put some pressure so that sticks. Grab this paper and just peel it back. Then you get your roller and roll it on, and then this will be on there forever. Alright, so it is done now. We have completely Kilmatted the hell out of this thing. It is covered in all the grooves on the floor, on the wheel wells, up along the side of the body panels, some areas on the roof that didn't have anything. Like I said, we try to use the lighter weight stuff higher if we could, like on the body panels, and then keep the heavier Kilmat on the floor, especially considering a lot of the road noise is going to come through the floor, through the wheel wells, through the axle. If you have one of these things, you probably know what I'm talking about. But let me show you what we did. I actually put 2 to 3 layers in this center stripe right here, going basically from the axle line forward. And the reason why I did that is because that is where the drive shaft is. And then obviously the differential is here. I went heavy on that. And if you've driven one of these things, around 70 miles an hour, plus or minus a few miles per hour, there's a nasty resonance that's really loud. Right there, between say 67 and 70 miles per hour, it hits some resonance and basically makes it impossible to have a conversation. And this is highway speeds for normal cruising speed. I can't believe that the Mercedes engineers thought that was okay, considering clearly that's a common speed. It's not like it's 100 miles per hour. That's one thing, but 70 miles per hour, that's your normal highway cruising speed. So the fact that they allowed that is kind of shocking to me. So I try to go heavy on the Kilmat, basically above that, to try and absorb as much of those vibrations, those frequencies as possible. Also, right here, I doubled up. I had some extra Kilmat, so I just doubled up here. This is about where the exhaust tip is, just to kind of try and, you know, silence the exhaust as much as possible. It's probably not a big thing, but this is an area where we might be sitting, working, whatever, if you have to have that car idling for some reason. Another way of canceling out that sound. Another area where I went a little bit heavy, in some places double or even triple layered of the Kilmat, and this is the 100 mil Kilmat, was the wheel wells. And the reason I did that is because this is where a lot of the road noise is going to be coming from. Basically the tires. You know, right now with the stock tires, it's not too bad, but once we get the all-terrain tires that are big and chunky, those make a lot of road noise as you drive down, especially if you go faster. So that's going to be a spot where a lot of noise comes from. So I wanted to go heavy there, try and cancel out as much of that sound as possible, especially considering, you know, this isn't going to get much more insulation. You know, things are going to be built around it, but, you know, the floor is going to have another layer of insulation below the flooring. So that's going to have a lot of sound insulation, a lot of just insulation in general, but the wheel wells are not. So I wanted to go heavy on that where I could. So hopefully that will help. I mean, you can tell that's a big difference in how that sound reverberates and vibrates. Alright, so hopefully you learned something watching this process of putting in the Kilmat. It's a pretty simple task to do. It just takes a bit of time. You want to clean the surface, prep it, and then lay the stuff down and lightly roll it just to kind of make sure it's on there. It's really, you know, not rocket science. Put it where you can, put it where you think the most sound is going to be coming from, and just go from there. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Hopefully you learned something from it, maybe some new techniques of how to put this stuff down. It's pretty simple, honestly. You can't really screw it up. If you did enjoy watching this video, please hit that like button. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you're subscribed because this is a big project, as you can imagine, and you're not going to want to miss anything. So I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. So just to give a quick update, I did drive this on freeway speeds, and this made a huge difference with that resonance. I could actually have a conversation without yelling, so definitely recommended.